New footage has emerged that shows exactly what happened in the aftermath of the latest Caitlin Clark attack, and it's revealing something the WNBA doesn't want you to see. Sophie Cunningham's protective instincts for teammate Caitlin Clark became unmistakably clear during the Indiana Fever's heated matchup against the Connecticut Sun, where her actions demonstrated a fierce loyalty that transcended typical teammate relationships.
The greatest thing I saw tonight was Sophie Cunningham. Thank you, Sophie Cunningham was about to give. She's about to give her the Stone Cold Stunner, bro. I'm gonna put it right here, bro. She was gripping JC's shoulder and straight bumped her. She was straight grabbing her hair and was talking shit while doing it. That's what I'm talking about. That's how you become a teammate. That's a road dog. That's a real teammate, bro. See, what made me mad the play before, Howard, none of them jokers didn't stick up for Caitlin Clark. But that's how you stick up for Caitlin Clark. That's how you fight for your teammates. That's how you
Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever's newly crowned enforcer, wasn't just standing up for her teammate during Tuesday night's game against the Connecticut Sun. She was being physically restrained by coaches as she tried to defend the league's biggest star from JC Sheldon, a player who's been trying to get under Clark's skin since their college.
People out here defending Marina Mabry for Madden hit sticking Caitlin Clark to the floor, saying that she's just protecting her teammate. For one, it involved Caitlin Clark and JC Sheldon. They had their little spiel before that, and then JC Sheldon scratches Clark in the face, then invades her space after that. Clark pushes her away because of that, and then Marina Mabry comes get involved, and Madden hit sticks her to the floor, man. And y'all just like she was protecting her teammate. But then Sophie Cunningham is getting called vile and disgusting for dropping JC Sheldon to the floor and dragging her by the hair. So Sophie Cunningham can't stick up for her teammate, or else it's vile and disgusting. But Marina Mabry could get involved in something that didn't involve her, and it's just she was protecting her teammate. The Caitlin Clark hate is so
Septi that nobody in the league office wants you to sip. Caitlin Clark didn't just get randomly fouled in Tuesday's game, she was systematically targeted, poked in the eye, shoved to the ground, and beaten down by players who seem more interested in playing WWE than basketball, and the referees they watched it happen like they were getting paid to look the other way. But this time something different happened. This time Sophie Cunningham decided enough was enough.
Exactly what the fuck needed to be done last night. And I love that for her. Because what y'all not gonna do, for one, Connecticut had no chance of winning the game, but what y'all not gonna do is decide to play dirty, to play violent, because y'all getting smacked by the Indiana Fever. Y'all had no chance they had no chance of winning that game anyway. So all they resorted to was just playing fucking dirty. And shit, Sophie Cunningham said, well, shit, you know, that's why they brought me over here. So I'm about to do what they brought me over.
The smoking gun footage shows the exact moment when JC asked Sheldon, you know, that guard from the Sun who's been Clark's rival since their college days, deliberately poked Clark in the eye during the third quarter as Clark recoiled in pain and pushed Sheldon away. Marina Mabry came charging, and like a bull's seeing red, shoving Clark hard to the ground. The crowd at Gainbridge Fieldhouse erupted in boos, and that's when we see Sophie Cunningham jumping up from the bench, fury in her eyes, only to be grabbed by assistant coaches who knew exactly what was about to happen.
When that play actually took place, Sophie Cunningham was ready to jump off the bench right then and there. Sophie was ready to jump off the bench right then and there. Look at this. Boom, Marina Mabry gets it. And then what do you see right here? You see the picture. You see the picture on the left-hand side over there. Yeah, Austin Kelly holding Sophie Cunningham back. Hey, Sophie, we're I know you want to get after it. I know you're about that action, but you gotta stay right here on the sideline. Seriously, no one can say Caitlin Clark isn't targeted. Girl just got poked to the eye, thrown to the ground, and was still given a technical foul. Marina Mabry was not ejected. These officials are absolutely...
Here's where it gets really interesting. Multiple sources, including fans who attended the game, have reported that Cunningham was visibly fuming on the sidelines, repeatedly trying to break free from the coaching staff's restraint. You can see her mouthing words that don't take a lip-reading expert to decipher. That's my teammate. That's enough. The coaches knew what was brewing, a protective rage that would eventually boil over in the game's final minute when Cunningham finally got her chance. At retribution, yo Sophia, my apologies. You should have had the second jersey. WNBA. I did not know that you were so proficient in holding the back of a girl's head while talking to her. She defended Caitlin Clark from that flagrant foul, which they didn't call flagrant for some reason last night, and she had her titled up, and then the rest of the Dawn Image crew came up and tried to separated and whatever. But let me just tell y'all this, Sophie Cunningham, thank you for defending Caitlin Clark. Somebody in the WNBA has to protect the brand, and it's not going to be the EBT members. So thank you for protecting the greatest female basketball player of all time. You are enjoying. Please subscribe. The timing of this incident couldn't be more revealing for the WNBA, and frankly, they deserve every bit of the criticism that's coming their way. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie like WNBA officials apparently do. Sophie Cunningham's jersey has completely sold out on the league's website following her defense of Clark. That's not just a coincidence. That's Indiana fans recognizing and rewarding the one player who's willing to stand up and say enough is enough when it comes to the league's treatment of their golden goose. In case you guys don't know yet, Sophie Cunningham's jersey, oh yeah, Fever fans, spend that bread folks. Sophie Cunningham's jersey out of stock. Look at that, no size in stock, a small, a medium, a large, and extra large, a double 40. You're going to have to get one custom made. Sophie Cunningham stands up for Caitlin Clark, and overnight her jerseys are selling like hot. Stephen A. Smith and Monica McNutt hit the airwaves Wednesday morning with perhaps the most Tony've taken sports media history. Instead of acknowledging the systematic targeting of the league's biggest star, they had the audacity to suggest that Clark deserved the treatment because, wait for it, she talks trash. Smith compared Clark to Larry Bird, saying she's also somebody like Larry Bird was shooting the lights out and stuff like that, and we're just talking smack. Caitlin Clark is that person as well. Translation: it's Clark's fault she's getting assaulted on national television. The victim blaming is so transparent, it's almost comical, and you see a little shove here, and there you see her throwing a little elbow here, and there you see her talking smack. Caitlin Clark does this so on top of the fact that she can play cause the girl's a shooter, and she's an assist maven as well, leading the league in assists and stuff like that. She's special. 4th in league MVP honors last year, Rookie of the Year, but she's also somebody, dog, you will appreciate this kind of like Larry Bird was when Larry Bird shooting the lights out of stuff like that, but Larry Bird also. But let's talk about the real crime here, the officiating, and the league's response. Coach Stephanie White called it out directly, saying, I started talking to officials in the first quarter, and we knew this was going to happen. You knew this was going to happen. They got to get control of it. They got to be better. She pointed out that this has been happening all season long, with officials allowing the physical targeting of players, particularly Clark, to continue on. The message was crystal clear. At this point, the officials weren't going to protect Clark, so her teammates would have to do it themselves, and that's exactly what Sophie Cunningham did. With less than a minute left in the game and the Fever up by 17 points, Cunningham saw Sheldon, the same player who had poked Clark in the eye earlier, racing down the court for a fast break in a moment that will be remembered in WNBA history. Cunningham channeled her Taekwondo black belt training. Yes, she earned that at the age of 6, making her the youngest black belt in Missouri at the time, and executed what martial arts experts are calling a textbook Thai clinch, wrapping Sheldon up and taking her to the ground. Definitely the W, especially if Sophie Cunningham is going to continue to fight people for messing with Caitlin Clark, because it feels like Caitlin Clark is going to get treated in a certain way in this league for a long time. She's not a rookie anymore, okay? She's already proved herself. She's won. And then there were some ladies last night that were trying to go a little physical, and in last year, I think something we noticed, and I think a lot of people noticed, is when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing. That's right, nobody would do nothing. It was like, hey, they didn't know, like, whoa, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe people were doing this to Caitlin Clark. Teammates weren't jumping in there. They bring in Sophie Cunningham, Had no idea Sophie Cunningham was a black belt at the age of 6. Boom, wow, JC Sean. That's cute, you want to poke her in the eye, then push her into a boom, mate breathing, go ahead, I'll take a take foul and you'll eat the deck. A little old here, the aftermath was predictable. Cunningham received a flagrant to foul and was ejected from the game along with Sheldon and Lindsay Allen, but the message had been sent loud and clear, mess with Caitlin Clark, and you'll have to answer to Sophie Cunningham. The crowd at Gambridge Fieldhouse gave Cunningham a standing ovation as she left the court, recognizing that they were witnessing the birth of something special, an enforcer who wasn't afraid to put her body on the line to protect the future of the franchise. What makes this story even more infuriating is the WNBA's response. On Wednesday, the league announced that Cunningham would be fined for her actions, while Marina Mabrey, who had shoved Clark to the ground in the third quarter, merely had her technical foul upgraded to a flagrant, to also resulting in a fine. That's right, the same punishment for two completely different actions. Mabrey's unprovoked attack on Clark from behind was deemed equivalent to Cunningham's protective response. The double standard couldn't be more obvious if it tried. This is Sophie Cunningham X account, and just like I stated, guys, she's been pretty vocal all day, sending little subliminals on social media. While she's made it her business to retweet some of this drama that has been displayed online. Now, if you guys haven't heard, the Marina Mabrey situation has been upgraded to a flagrant to foul, man, and she should have got suspended. Marina Mabrey should have been suspended in some shape. But here's what the WNBA doesn't understand: they've accidentally created a hero. Sophie Cunningham isn't just a player anymore, she's a symbol of everything the Fever fans have been craving. Indiana has never had a player like this, someone who combines skill with an absolute refusal to let her teammates, especially the franchise cornerstone, get pushed around. As one fan put it, Sophie Cunningham is exactly what Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever required. She brings fearless energy while Marina hits and retreats. Sophie confronts the jersey sales, tell the whole story. Within hours of Tuesday night's game, Sophie Cunningham's jersey was completely sold out on the WNBA's website. Fever fans are voting with their wallets, making it clear that they value a player who's willing to stand up and protect their star. This isn't just about basketball anymore, it's about loyalty, protection, and sending a message to the rest of the league that the days of using Clark as a punching bag are over. My God, this is exactly why the Fever brought in Sophie Cunningham. Whether you like it or not, the enforcer and the WNBA officials were not prepared to handle this moment. Now he's retweeting this and insinuating he's insinuating that she's racist. It's how can you say an incident between two Caucasian ladies are racist? Make sense. Emergence as Clark's protector extends far beyond just jersey sales. The Fever are seeing unprecedented interest in their games, with fans specifically coming to see the dynamic between Clark and her newfound bodyguard. This isn't just about basketball, this is about an entire economic ecosystem that revolves around the league's biggest star finally having the protection she deserves. All the WNBA had to do was protect their investment. Instead, they forced the Fever to develop their own internal security system. In the form of Sophie Cunningham, you effed around and found out, didn't you? Yep, I'm off for getting that lick back. Sophie was trying to hide nothing she weren't trying to. You notice, guys, that she was looking at you the entire time you drove. She knew exactly what she was going to do, and she knew exactly what she was going to do when you stood up. See, that's how you handle business. They brought you their Sophie Cunningham to be the enforcer for Caleb Clark, and that's exactly what you're doing. Hey man, one thing you can say about the WNBA, they ain't no punks. You know what I mean, they ain't no punks. But these refs are horrible, these refs are trash. Like, I just found out that y'all gave Kayla Clark a tech and you didn't even throw Marina out for that show. What's particularly gling is that ESP and the network that's supposed to be promoting women's basketball seems to be actively working against Clark's interests. Monica McNutt, who famously got into a heated argument with Stephen S. Smith over the network's lack of WNBA coverage before Clark arrived, now has the audacity to suggest that Clark is bringing the physical abuse on herself. This is the same network that's seeing record ratings for WNBA games featuring Clark, yet they can't bring themselves to call out the obvious targeting that's happening right before their eyes. The irony is palpable. A league that desperately needs stars' attention and revenue allowed its biggest star to get injured through a combination of dirty play and incompetent officiating. Now, they're punishing the one player who had the courage to stand up and say no more, and then this would happen. Here we go. We got Sophie Cunningham with a hard foul on Sheldon, and now we got all this again. And I mentioned Sophie Cunningham goes back to her days at Missouri, another a trash talker, agitator, intense defender, intense player, and so again JC Sheldon's not going to back down. This I didn't love the way that this one was adjudicated. Sophie Cunningham was ejected, as was Lindsay Allen and JC Sheldon. I thought Sophie should have been injected, the other two, but what they don't realize is that they've created something they can't control, a genuine connection between fans and a player who embodies the protective instinct that every teammate should have. The acquisition of Cunningham addressed a specific need that had been identified the previous season when Clark faced physical targeting without adequate teammate support. As one analyst noted last year, when Caitlin would get bullied, nobody would do nothing. Cunningham's arrival changed that dynamic completely. Sophie Cunningham's love for Caitlin Clark showed through her willingness to sacrifice her own game, face ejection, accept fines, and potentially face suspension to ensure that her teammate knew she had unwavering support. Her actions demonstrated that protecting Clark wasn't just about basketball strategy, it was about loyalty, respect, and the kind of fierce devotion that transformed teammates into family. The martial arts trained guard had found her mission in Indianapolis, keeping the league's biggest star safe no matter the cost. Everything that happened last night between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun with Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Mabry, and Sheldon, all of it is so good for the WNBA. Dude, never in a million years would I have thought I would find myself feeling compelled to turn on a WNBA game at the same time as a Stanley Cup game, which one of the teams has the opportunity to win the best trophy in professional sports. Never in a million years would I thought I would feel compelled to turn on that WNBA game that's going on at the same time and find myself watching it and yelling drag her ass as Sophie Cunningham is tackling Sheldon to the floor. Love it, dude. So good the WNBA has needed, and the Fever more specifically, but just in general, that the WNBA has needed a Sophie Cunningham so badly. And for the record, every single team needs when Cunningham returns to the court for the Fever's next game. Expect the reception to be deafening. Fans have found their new hero, not just because she's willing to stand up for Clark, but because she represents something that's been missing from the Fever for years: heart, courage, and an absolute refusal to back down. The coaches might have held her back in the third quarter, but when it mattered most, Sophie Cunningham broke free and did what needed to be done. One thing's for certain: the next time an opponent thinks about taking a cheap shot at Caitlin Clark, they'll think twice, because now they know that Sophie Cunningham, black belt enforcer and fan favorite, is watching, waiting, and ready to defend the future of women's basketball. The WNBA wanted a villain, but instead they created a hero, and that hero's jersey is sold out for a reason. All